second period, we may go over time until about 10:15 in order to do the syllabary. If people want to leave early, they can do their own transference, dedication of merit, and then leave. You can stay over, and we will do the finale transference, and then followed by the special dedication, and then the general dedication at the end. Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Adornment Sutra. The wondrous adornments of the rulers of the world, Chapter 1, Part 4. At that time, earth-ruling spirit, pure flower of universal virtue, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the multitudes of earth-ruling spirits, and spoke the following verse: the thus common in thought after thought in the past, employ ineffable means of great kindness and compassion, cultivating in this way without end, he thereby attained a solid, indestructible body. Sentient beings and bodhisattvas in the three periods of time, as well as all the blessings accumulated, are fully manifest in the thus common force. Blessings and adornment sees this and rejoices within a samadhi that is vast, great, and tranquil, unborn, undying, neither coming nor going. The Buddha adorns and purifies lands and instructs beings. This is the liberation of the spirit tree's flowers. The Buddha cultivated every sort of practice in the past to help sentient beings eradicate their heavy obstacles. Earth-ruling spirit, universally scattering the myriad gems, sees this liberation and gives rise to joy. The realm of the thus common has no bounds. In thought after thought, he appears everywhere in all worlds. That earth-ruling spirit, pure eyes contemplating time, observes the Buddha's deeds and rejoices in his heart. Wondrous sounds, limitless and inconceivable, universally extinguish afflictions of sentient beings. The spirit, golden color eyes, awakens to this and sees the Buddha's boundless supreme merit and virtue. The Buddha manifests transformations of all shapes and forms, filling up the 10 directions of the Dharma realm. Fragrant, shining heads often observe the Buddha, universally transforming sentient beings in this manner.
His just words extend throughout the 10 directions, speaking to the multitudes of measureless eons. Having understood in her heart the earth spirit delightful feels deep reverence and joy in listening to the Buddha. Fragrance blazing clouds issue from the Buddha's pores.
And according to sentient beings' wishes pervade the world, all who behold this become mature. Called flowers contemplates thus, sturdy and indestructible as Vajra, immovable as Mount Sumeru. Thus does the Buddha's body dwell in the world, universally supported, sees this and rejoices. Moreover, city-ruling spirit, jewels, peak illumination, gain the passage into liberation of expediently benefiting sentient beings. City-ruling spirit, wondrously adorning palaces, gain the passage into liberation of knowing sentient beings' faculties and teaching and transforming them to bring them to maturity. City-ruling spirit, pure jewels of joy, gain the passage into liberation of constantly delighting in enabling all sentient beings to enjoy blessings and virtue. City-ruling spirit, pure and free from worry, gain the passage into liberation of a treasury of great compassion that delivers beings from all fear. City-ruling spirit, flower lamps and blazing eyes, gain the passage into liberation of universal understanding and great wisdom. City-ruling spirit, clear manifestation of blazing banners, gain the passage into liberation of expediently manifesting everywhere. City-ruling spirit, flourishing blessings, awesome brightness, gain the passage into liberation of universally contemplating all sentient beings and helping them to cultivate a vast sea of blessings and virtue. City-ruling spirit, body of pure radiance, gain the passage into liberation of enlightening all foolish and dim-witted sentient beings. City-ruling spirit, fragrant cow adornment, gain the passage into liberation of contemplating how the thus common sovereign power pervasively tames sentient beings in all worlds. City-ruling spirit, jeweled peak, bright eyes, gain the passage into liberation of using brilliant light to smash the mountain of all sentient beings' obstructions. At that time, city-ruling spirit, jeweled peak illumination, receives the Buddha's awesome spiritual power.
Contemplated of the multitudes
of the ruling spirits and spoke the following verse: The guiding master is thus inconceivable. His light pervasively illumines the 10 directions. Every sentient being sees the Buddha appear before him. Innumerable beings are taught, transformed, and brought to maturity. Every sentient being's disposition is unique. The Buddha understands them all without exception. City ruling spirit, wondrously adorning palaces, enters this Dharma door and rejoices in her heart. The Daskarman cultivated through measureless eons, protecting and upholding the Dharma of past Buddhas, constantly focusing on reverent practice brought him joy. The city spirit, wondrous jewels, awakens to this passage. The Daskarman has long had the ability to rid all sentient beings of fear and terror, and to feel constant kindness and compassion for them. The spirit free from worry has this joyful awakening. The wisdom of the Buddha is vast and boundless. Like the void, it cannot be measured. The city spirit flower eyes has this blissful insight and learns the Daskarman's wondrous wisdom. The Daskarman's forms are equal to the number of sentient beings. According to their inclinations, all are caused to see him. Clear manifestation of blazing banners realizes this. Practicing this experience makes her happy. The Daskarman cultivated a sea of many blessings, pure, vast, great, and without boundaries. Blessings and virtue banner light. Contemplates and understands this passage with joy. Deluded beings in the realms of existence are like those born blind in the world who see nothing at all. For their benefit, the Buddha appears in the world. Pure radiant spirit enters this passage. The Daskarman's self-mastery is boundless. Like a cloud, it spreads pervasively through all worlds.
He even appears in dreams to tame and subdue beings. Fragrance banner thus observes.
Dark and deluded sentient beings are as if blind, shrouded by various obstacles and coverings. The Buddha's light shines through, opening their wisdom. Jeweled peak enters thus. Moreover, Bodhimanta's spirit, banner of pure adornment, gained the passage into liberation of manifesting a great power of vows to make offerings of vast great garments to Buddhas. Bodhimanta's spirit, Sumeru jeweled brilliance, gained the passage into liberation of appearing before all sentient beings and accomplishing vast practices of Bodhi. Bodhimanta's spirit, thunderclap and banner-like characteristics, gained the passage into liberation of according with what sentient beings like, and enabling them to see the Buddha speak Dharma for them in their dreams. Bodhimanta's spirit, raining down flowers, wondrous eyes, gained the passage into liberation of raining down all kinds of adornments made of a myriad treasures that are hard to give up. Bodhimanta's spirit, pure blazing form, gained the passage into liberation of displaying marvelously adorned Bodhimantas for the sake of extensively transforming sentient beings and bringing them to maturity. Bodhimanta's spirit, flower garlands draped from the cow, gained the passage into liberation of speaking Dharma according to beings' faculties, so that they produce proper thoughts. Bodhimanta's spirit, raining down jeweled ornaments, gained the passage into liberation of everywhere, raining down boundless aspects of happiness by means of eloquence. Bodhimanta's spirit, heroic fragrance and vision,
Passage into
liberation of extensively expressing the merit and virtue of the Buddhas. Bodhimanta's spirit, Vajra color cloud, gained the passage into liberation of making appear trees of boundless shapes and colors to adorn Bodhimanta. Bodhimanta's spirit, lotus flower brilliance, gained the passage into liberation of being still and serene beneath the Bodhi tree and yet pervading the 10 directions. Bodhimanta's spirit, destiny, wondrous light, gained the passage into liberation of manifesting the various powers of the Daskarman. At that time, Bodhimanta's spirit, banner of pure adornment, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the multitudes of Bodhimanta's spirits and spoke the following verses. I recollect how the Daskarman in ages past cultivated throughout limitless eons, making offerings to every Buddha appearing in the world. He accrued merit and virtue as great as space. The Buddha did practice infinite acts of giving, equal number to 5 dasmos in measurelessness. The Bodhi spirit, named Sumeru brilliant illumination, recollects the well-gone one with jubilation. The Daskarman's forms are endless. His transformations circulate through all lands. Even in dreams he makes constant appearances. Thunder banner is delighted to see this. In the practice of giving during measureless eons in the past, the Buddha gave an oceanic quantity of ice, which are so hard to give. He practiced giving in this manner for the sake of sentient beings. Wondrous ice spirit awakens thus and rejoices. His boundless forms like precious resplendent clouds appear in Bodhi places throughout all worlds. Bodhi Manda spirit pure blazing form happily observes the Buddha's self-mastery. Boundless is the ocean of sentient beings' deeds. The Buddha reigns, the Dharma reigns everywhere. Dispelling delusions according to their faculties and understanding. Flower garlands awakens thus with delight. Measureless Dharma doors, each distinct in meaning. The Buddha can enter with eloquence like a vast ocean. Bodhi Manda spirit raining down jeweled ornaments, always recollects thus in thought after thought, throughout all lands unspeakable in number. The Buddha used the epitome of praises to laud all Buddhas, thus achieving renown and great merit. The spirit heroic vision thus recalls boundless trees of various shapes and forms, all appear beneath the Bodhi tree, the king of trees. Vajra-colored cloud awakened and made this passage, and joyfully constantly beholds the tree of the way. Just as the boundaries of the 10 directions are beyond our grasp, so too is the wisdom of the Buddha seated in the Bodhi Manda. Lotus flowers that brilliance gives rise to pure faith and enters this liberation with deep delight. Marvelous sounds issue from everything in the Bodhi Manda, praising the Buddha's inconceivable pure strength and bringing to success all practices at the level of planting causes. Wondrous light spirit hears and receives thus. Moreover, spirit of foot travel, jeweled seal hand, gain the passage into liberation of raining down myriad treasures everywhere and producing vast happiness. Spirit of foot travel, lotus light, gain the passage into liberation of manifesting a Buddha's body seated upon the throne of lotuses of all colors and lights, delighting all beholders. Spirit of foot travel, supreme floral cow, gain the passage into liberation of establishing Bodhi Mandas in thought after thought for the assemblies of all thus come ones. Spirit of foot travel gathering in good views, gain the passage into liberation of completely subduing boundless sentient beings. Each time one lifts one's foot, take a step. Spirit of foot travel, star banner of wondrous jewels, gain the passage into liberation of in every thought, manifesting all kinds of radiantness of lotuses that rain down a multitude of treasures, out of which come wondrous sounds. Spirit of foot travel, happily making wondrous sounds, gain the passage into liberation of producing a boundless sea of happiness. Spirit of foot travel, radiant Chandana tree, gain the passage into liberation of using fragrance breezes to universally enlighten the assembly in all Bodhimandas. Spiritual foot travel, lotus brilliance, gain the passage into liberation of radiating light from every pore, broadcasting the wonderful sounds of Dharma. Spiritual foot travel, subtle radiance, gain the passage into liberation of having her whole body radiate to various lesser lights that illumine everything. Spirit of foot travel, gathering lovely flowers, gain the passage into liberation of enlightening all sentient beings, so that they bring forth an ocean of good fruits. At that time, spirit of foot travel, jeweled seal hand, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the multitudes of spirits of foot travel, and spoke the following verses. The Buddha cultivated for measureless eons, making offerings to every thus come one. He constantly rejoiced, never growing weary. His practice of joy was deep and vast like an ocean. In every thought, immeasurable spiritual powers bring into being lotuses of various fragrances. Buddhas seated upon them travel everywhere. Scarlet light spirit observes all of this. Thus is the Dharma of each Buddha that thus come one. His extensive assemblies pervade the 10 directions. He displays inconceivable spiritual powers everywhere. Supreme flower cow spirit completely sees and understands all of this. In every place throughout the lands of the 10 directions, whether raising his foot or setting it down, he brings all beings to accomplishment. Good views spirit realizes this with joy. The Buddha displays as many bodies as there are sentient beings. Each and every body fills up the Dharma red. All of them radiate pure light and rain down a myriad treasures. Starbender enters this liberation. The realm of the thus come one is boundless. He sends down Dharma rain that fills all places. The assembled multitudes behold the Buddha in delight. Wondrous sound thus observes. The range of the Buddha's voice equals the void. Every kind of sound is encompassed therein. It subdues all sentient beings without exception. Chandana hears and accepts this. Transformed sounds come out of every pore, proclaiming the names of all Buddhas of the 3 time periods. Those who hear are filled with happiness. Lotus brilliant spirit thus perceives. The Buddha's body undergoes inconsiderable transformations. In every step his forms are like the ocean. He shows himself according to sentient beings' wishes. This is the attainment of subtle radiance, displaying great spiritual powers throughout the 10 directions. The Buddha brings all beings to enlightenment. Myriads of lovely flower spirit sees this Dharma, and having seen it, it feels tremendous delight.
Moreover, multiple spirits of stage of pure joy
gain the passage into liberation of recollecting the seal of the Buddha's past vows. Multi-body spirit light illumining the 10 directions gain the passage into liberation of radiating light universally upon boundless worlds. Multi-body spirit taming and subduing with an ocean-like sound gain the passage into liberation of using a great voice to enlighten all sentient beings, making them happy and subdued. Multi-body spirit car adorned with pure flowers gain the passage into liberation of developing a body that is omnipresent like space. Multi-body spirit limitless aspects of awesome comportment gain the passage into liberation of displaying the states of Buddhas to all sentient beings. Multi-body spirit supreme light adornment gain the passage into liberation of replenishing the physical strength of all starving and exhausted sentient beings. Multi-body spirit pure light and clouds of fragrance gain the passage into liberation of ridding all sentient beings of defiling afflictions. Multi-body spirit protecting and gathering in gain the passage into liberation of transforming the delusion of demonic karma of all sentient beings. Multi-body spirits universally manifesting to gather in and transform gain the passage into liberation of universally manifesting and adorned appearance in the palace of all world leaders. Multi-body spirit, a moving radiance, gain the passage into liberation of gathering in all sentient beings and causing them to produce pure good roots. At that time, multi-body spirit state of pure joy receives the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, contemplated the multitudes of multi-body spirits and spoke the following verses. I recall that as many years ago as the motes of dust in Sumeru, wondrous light Buddha appeared in the world. The world owner one in the presence of the thus come one resolved to make offerings to each and every Buddha. The thus come one's body radiates bright light. His light fills the entire Dharma realm, missing no place. When sentient beings encounter it, their minds are tamed. The spirit illumining directions thus perceives. The thus come one's voice rocks the lands of the 10 directions. All his speech and sounds are full and perfect. He is without exception. Hearing this tame and subduing rejoices in her heart. The Buddha's body is pure and ever tranquil. He displays a myriad forms everywhere, yet is devoid of characteristics. In this way he pervasively dwells in all worlds. The spirit pure flowers enters thus. The guardian master is inconceivable like this. He is seen by sentient beings according to their wishes, perhaps sitting or walking or sometimes standing. Limitless aspects of awesome comportment awakens to this passage. It is difficult to encounter a Buddha in 100,000 years. He comes forth to benefit beings with mastery and ease, delivering all the world's beings from poverty's woes. Supreme light adornment enters this state. From the gaps between the thus come one's teeth, brilliant blazing clouds-like fragrant lamps issue forth, extinguishing the delusions of all sentient beings. Immaculate cloud spirit thus observes. Sentient beings defiling delusions become heavy obstructions. They constantly drift and wander along demonic byways. The thus come one reveals the path of liberation, protecting and supporting awakens thus and enters. I contemplate the thus come one's power of self-mastery. His light spreads throughout the Dharma realm, filling it entirely. Dwelling in the royal palace, he transforms sentient beings. This is the state of universally manifesting spirit. Sentient beings confused by falseness suffer a myriad woes. The Buddha is in their midst, constantly rescuing and protecting them. He helps them to dispel delusions and develop joyful hearts. A moving, radiant spirit thus observes.
Moreover, far devoted spirits wonders the Narayana physic gained a passage into liberation, seeing the thus common manifest bodies of boundless forms.
Vajra, wielding spirit banner as swift as the sun, gained the passage into liberation of seeing how every hair on the Buddha's body displays assorted clouds of light, just like the sun. Vajra, wielding spirit flower, light of Mount Sumeru, gained the passage into liberation of conjuring up measureless bodies and tremendous spiritual transformations. Vajra, wielding spirit pure thundercloud, gained the passage into liberation of uttering boundless sounds that accord with the categories of beings. Vajra, wielding spirit celestial lord with splendid arms, gained the passage into liberation of manifesting as all worldly leaders and enlightening sentient beings. Vajra, wielding spirit delightful brightness, gained the passage into liberation of expounding all the different entrances into the Buddha Dharma, so that they are fully understood without exception. Vajra, wielding spirit, great tree, thunderclap, gained the passage into liberation of using delightful ornaments together in all three spirits. Vajra, wielding spirit, brilliant lion king, gained the passage into liberation of being fully endowed with and understanding the adornments accumulated from vast blessings. Vajra, wielding spirit, covered, blazing auspicious eyes, gained the passage into liberation of universally contemplating the evil thoughts of sentient beings and appearing before them in a majestic body. Vajra, wielding spirit, lotus gem-like cow, gained the passage into liberation of universally raining down all bodhisattva adornments and money top-knots. At that time, Vajra, wielding spirit, wondrous from Narayana, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, contemplating all the multitudes of Vajra wielding spirits, and spoke the following verses. You ought to contemplate the Dharma King. The Dharma of the Dharma King is thus.
Physical appearance has no bounds,
as it universally manifests in all worlds. Every hair on the Buddha's body emits inconceivable nets of light, which, like the sun, pure and clear, universally illumine the lands of the 10 directions. The thus common spiritual powers pervade the entire Dharma realm. Before all sentient beings, he manifests infinitely many bodies. No one in the 10 directions fails to hear the sound of the thus common speaking Dharma. It satisfies the hearts of sentient beings according to their categories. The multitudes see who need the honor one, dwelling in his palace in the world. For the sake of all beings, he expounds and propagates the great Dharma. In the whirlpools of the Dharma ocean, all the different meanings and various expedient doors are endlessly proclaimed. With boundless great expedient means, the Buddha responds to those in all regions. Upon encountering the pure light of the Buddha, all beings see the thus common body, having made offerings to all Buddhas. In billions of lands as numerous as dust motes, he has merit like space and is admired and esteemed by all. His spiritual powers are impartial. He appears in all lands, peacefully dwelling in sublime holy mandas. He manifests before all sentient beings. His blazing clouds shine upon all worlds, perfectly formed of many kinds of light. They reach every place in the Dharma realm, displaying the aspects of the Buddha's practice. End of chapter 1, part 4. Flower Adornment Sutra, the wondrous adornments of the rulers of the world, chapter 1, part 5. Moreover, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, universal worthy, enter passages into inconceivable liberation, full of seas of experience, thus entering the thus common sea of merit. These include the passage into liberation called adorning and purifying all Buddha lands and taming sentient beings, enabling them to ultimately gain transcendence, and the passage into liberation called universally visiting all thus commons and cultivating states of perfect merit. Another passage into liberation is called establishing all bodhisattva grounds and an ocean of great vows. Another passage into liberation is called everywhere manifesting measureless bodies as numerous as the dust motes in the Dharma realm. Another passage passage into liberation is called proclaiming the inconceivable numbers of distinct names throughout all lives. Another passage into liberation is called displaying in every modal dust the states of the spiritual powers of boundless bodhisattvas. Another passage into liberation is called within a single thought, displaying the eons of formation, destruction, and so on in the 3 periods of time. Another passage into liberation is called manifesting the sea of all bodhisattvas' faculties, each of which enters its own state. Another passage into liberation is called using the strength of spiritual powers to manifest various bodies that pervade boundless Dharma realms. Another passage into liberation is called revealing the sequential doors of Dharmas cultivated by all bodhisattvas, by which they enter the vast great experience of all wisdom.
At that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasava, universal mercy by his own merit and further by receiving the first one's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the sea of the assembled multitudes and spoke the following verses. The vast great lands adorned by the Buddha are equal in number to all the 5 modes of dust. They are filled with pure disciples of the Buddha. He raised down inconceivable Dharma of utmost wonder, just as the Buddha is seen seated in this assembly.
It is the same in every particle of dust. The Buddha's body neither goes nor comes, yet it appears with clarity in every limb. He elucidates the practices that bodhisattvas cultivate, the measured as grounds and all experience, and expounds the inconceivable true principle, enabling the Buddha's disciples to enter the Dharma realm. He creates transformation Buddhas as numerous as dust motes. Universally is responding to the wishes of all beings. He enters the profound Dharma realm's expedient doors. They are vast and boundless, yet he proclaims them all. The Daskarma's names are equal to the world, completely filling the lands of the 10 directions. None of the expedients are used in vain. They tame sentient beings, freeing them from defilement. In every fine mote of dust, the Buddha displays boundless great spiritual powers. Seated in every Bodhimanda, he proclaims the Buddha's past practices for Bodhi. Throughout vast eons in the 3 periods of time, the Buddha manifests in thought after thought. His inconceivable wisdom fully perceives all the events of formation and decay therein. The assembly of the Buddha's disciples is limitlessly vast. They all wish to fathom the realm of the Buddhas. The Buddha's Dharma doors are without bounds. It is difficult indeed to completely understand them all. Free from differentiation, the Buddha resembles space. The impartial true Dharma relies upon nothing. He manifests as going to every location without exception, to sit in the Bodhimanda and realize right enlightenment. The Buddha teaches extensively with a wondrous voice, making all the grounds clearly understood, appearing before each and every sentient being. He exhaustively gives them the Daskarma's impartial Dharma. Moreover, Bodhisattva Mahasava, pure virtues, wondrous light, gained the passage into liberation of traveling to all the magnificent Bodhimandas of the Bodhisattva assemblies in the 10 directions. Bodhisattva Mahasava, supremely luminous lantern of universal virtue, gained the passage into liberation of displaying in a single thought infinite passages for realizing proper enlightenment, and teaching, transforming, and bringing to maturity inconceivable realms of sentient beings. Bodhisattva Mahasava, lying banner of universal light, gained a passage into liberation of cultivating the Bodhisattva's blessings and virtue in order to adorn and create all Buddha-lands. Bodhisattva Mahasava, splendid light of universal jeweled flames, gained a passage into liberation of contemplating the state of the Buddha's spiritual powers without being confused.
Bodhisattva Mahasava's universal voice with mirror and virtue, like a banner or ocean, gained a passage into liberation of displaying the adornments of all Buddha lands in the Bodhimanda of a single assembly.
Bodhisattva Mahasava, universal wisdom light, illuminating the Daskarma's realm. The Daskarma's realm gained a passage into liberation of following the Daskarma to contemplate the profound, vast, great treasury of the Dharma realm. Bodhisattva Mahasava, delightful sounds that bring universal enlightenment, gained a passage into liberation of drawing near to and serving all Buddhas and presenting a plethora of offerings. Bodhisattva Mahasava, universal purity and majestic light of infinite blessings, gained a passage into liberation of producing all spiritual transformations to vastly bestow aid. Bodhisattva Mahasava, universal jeweled cow and flower banner, gained the passage into liberation of universally entering all worldly practices and giving rise to the Bodhisattva's boundless methods of practice. Bodhisattva Mahasava, supreme life from universal characteristics, gained the passage into liberation of displaying all Buddha states within a Dharma realm that is devoid of characteristics. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, pure virtues, wondrous life, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the ocean of all the Bodhisattvas' passages into liberation, and spoke the following verses. Every land in the 10 directions is adorned and purified in an instant. With the wondrous voice, he turns the Dharma wheel. Throughout all worlds, there is none equal to the Buddha. Boundless is the realm of the thus come one. In a single thought, he completely fills the Dharma realm. In every dust mote, a Bodhimanda is established, where all can realize Bodhi and develop spiritual transformations. The world on the one cultivated all practices. For measureless hundreds of thousands of eons, he adorns each and every Buddha land, manifesting freely like space. The Buddha's spiritual powers are limitless. They completely fill boundless eons. One could spend innumerable eons observing them continually without tiring. Behold the state of the Buddha's spiritual powers. They adorn and purify all lands in the 10 directions. In each and every land they manifest, limitless in variety, different in every thought.
For measureless hundreds of thousands of eons, contemplate the Buddha with totally undivided attention. The first come one has unobstructed experience doors. This light universally shines upon inconceivable lands. In former eons, when first come was in the world, he attended upon Buddhas as boundless an ocean. Therefore, all beings like madly rushing straight come to make offerings to the one honored by the world. The thus come one achieves pervasively in the 10 directions, in measureless lands within each and every mode of dust. All the states therein are measureless, dwelling throughout boundless and infinite eons. In eons gone by, when the Buddha was a sentient being, he cultivated an ocean of boundless grace, compassion, entering samsara along with sentient beings. He universally transforms the multitudes, making them pure. In the treasury of the Dharma realm of true suchness, the Buddha dwells, devoid of forms and characteristics, free from all defilement. When sentient beings behold his various bodies, their woes and difficulties vanish one and all. Moreover, Bodhisattva Mahasava, ocean moonlight's great radiance, gained the passage into liberation of using expedient means in bringing into being all Bodhisattva grounds and paramitas, teaching and transforming sentient beings, and adorning and purifying all Buddha lands. Bodhisattva Mahasava, immaculate treasury of thunder clouds and shining seas, gained the passage into liberation of universally entering various distinct locations in all Dharma realms in thought after thought. Bodhisattva Mahasava, jeweled crown born of wisdom, gained the passage into liberation of displaying pure great meritorious virtues before all sentient beings throughout inconceivable eons. Bodhisattva Mahasava, pure light of meritorious virtues and majestic freedom, gained the passage into liberation of universally viewing the various adornments of all Bodhisattvas in the 10 directions upon their arrival at the Bodhimanda. Bodhisattva Mahasava, lotus headdress of proficient courage, gained the passage into liberation of universally revealing all Buddha Dhammas according to the ocean of sentient beings' faculties and understanding. Bodhisattva Mahasava, universal wisdom resembling banners of clouds and sun, gained the passage into liberation of perfecting the Daskaman's wisdom and eternally dwelling throughout immeasurable eons. Bodhisattva Mahasava, adamantine level of great vigor, gained the passage into liberation of universally entering the power derived from the imprint of boundless Dharma seas. Bodhisattva Mahasava, banner of fragrant blazing light, gained the passage into liberation of displaying all present Buddha's initial cultivation of Bodhisattva conduct up to the perfection of accumulated wisdom. Bodhisattva Mahasava, resplendent of virtue and
beautiful sound, gained the passage into liberation of peacefully dwelling in the ocean of all the great vows of Vairocana. Bodhisattva Mahasava, light of great blessings, born of wisdom, gained the passage into liberation of displaying the profound state of the Daskaman's omnipresence in the Dharma realm. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, ocean moonlight's great radiance, they received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the adorned oceanic multitudes of all the bodhisattvas and spoke the following verses. All the paramitas and all the growths, best and inconceivable, have completely been perfected. Measureless sentient beings have all been tamed. All Buddha lands have been adorned and purified. The Buddha's teaching and transforming of the realms of beings fills and pervades the lands of the 10 directions. In a single thought, he turns the Dharma wheel, universally responding to all sentient beings, missing none. The Buddha, for immeasurable vast eons, universally appeared before all sentient beings, just as in the past he cultivated on a vast scale, showing them the pure aspects of this practice. I perceive all in the 10 directions without exception. I also see the Buddhas displaying spiritual powers. Seated in the Bodhimanda, and they all perfect right enlightenment. The multitudes gather around to hear the Dharma. The Buddha's Dharma body is vast, great, and brilliant. He can expediently appear in the world, universally complying with what sentient beings like. He rains down Dharma, matching their faculties, the marvelous body of impartial true suchness, the immaculate, bright, pure Dharma body, limitless bodies of wisdom and still tranquility, universally respond in the 10 directions and proclaim Dharma. The powers of the Dharma King are entirely pure. His wisdom is boundless like the void. He reveals all, omitting and hiding nothing, universally enabling such beings to awaken and enter, just as the Buddha once cultivated and trained himself to the point that he realized all wisdom. He now radiates light pervading the Dharma realm, revealing everything therein with total clarity.
Following his past vows, the Buddha displays spiritual powers. Nothing in the 10 directions escapes his illumination. The practices of the Buddha cultivated in the past are fully proclaimed within his brilliant aura.
The states of being in the 10 directions are infinite, peerless and unbounded. They are each distinct. The Buddha has unhindered power and radiant brilliance, clearly revealing each and every limb. At that time, out of the dust commons lying throne, multitudes of gems, wondrous flowers, wheels, terraces, the base and the steps to the throne, and the doors and windows. Out of each and every adorned object such as these came bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, as numerous as the 5 modes of dust in Buddha lands. Their names were Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, King of Oceanic Wisdom and Sovereign Spiritual Powers. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, universally resounding thunderclap. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, radiant top knot of all jewels. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, son of great knowledge and courageous wisdom. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, inconceivable meritorious virtues and precious seal of wisdom. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, 100 eyes and lotus flower top knot. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, perfect radiance of golden flames. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, sound of pervading the Dharma realm. Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, cloud of sound and pure moon. And Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, bright banner of wholesome courage. Those were some of the leaders. Multitudes of such bodhisattvas, as numerous as the motes of dust in Buddha lands, simultaneously appeared. All of these bodhisattvas created a class of solid offerings. That is to say, there were a class of flowers of all money jewels, class of lovely fragrance from all lotuses, class of the full brilliance of all jewels, class of boundless states of fragrant flames, class of sun treasury molecule light, class of all delightful sounds of music, class of boundless forms and bright flames from all jeweled lamps, class of branches, flowers, and fruits from all jeweled trees, class of infinite precious pure light of magnificent money, and class of all kinds of ornaments of magnificent money. Such class of offerings were as numerous as motes of dust in Buddha was. Each of those bodhisattvas created such class of offerings, raining them continuously and without end over the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda. Having manifested these clouds, they circumambulated the world on a one to the right, countless hundreds of thousands of times. Then, in their own direction, not far from the Buddha, they each created a lion throne of a countless variety of jeweled lotuses and seated themselves in full lotus upon it. All these bodhisattvas had cultivated purity as vast as the ocean. They had attained the Dharma of a universal passage to the illuminating wisdom. Having followed the non-obstruction practiced by all Buddhas, they were able to enter the Dharma ocean of all types of eloquence. They had attained the Dharma door of inconceivable liberation and dwelt on the ground of the Dasgama's universal door. Having attained all Dharanitos, they were able to take in all Dharmasis. They skillfully dwelt on the ground of the impartial wisdom of the 3 periods of time.
They have attained deep faith and immense happiness. Having accumulated boundless blessings, they were wholesome and pure to the utmost. Throughout space and the Dharma realm, nothing escaped their contemplation. Wherever a Buddha appeared in any land in the world, so the 10 directions, they were all diligently make offerings.
At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, king of oceanic wisdom and sovereign spiritual powers, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhi Manda and spoke the following verses. He already knows that to which all Buddhas awaken, unimpeded like space, he clearly illumines everything. His brilliance pervades countless lands in the 10 directions. His very presence adorns and purifies all assemblies. Immeasurable the Daskaman's merit, completely fills the Dharma realms of the 10 directions. Under every king of trees the Buddha is seated, and those of great self-mastery gather around like clouds. The Buddha has such mighty spiritual powers that he can manifest infinite forms in a single thought. The realm of the Daskaman is boundless, each being perceives it according to his liberation. Long ago, through oceanic eons, the Daskaman practiced diligently in all realms of existence. He used various expedients to transform all beings, so they could accept and practice all Buddha Dharmas. Adorned with every hallmark, Varochana is seated upon the lotus treasury lion throne. All the assembled multitudes are purified. Serenely everyone gazes up at him. The treasury of mighty jewels shimmers with light. Everywhere releasing boundless clouds of fragrant flames, countless strands of flowers trail down. On such a throne the Daskaman is seated. At the auspicious entranceway, assorted ornaments perpetually send forth jeweled blazing clouds of lamplight. Such tremendous effulgence illuminates everything, enhancing the fine hallmarks of the moon seated therein. All kinds of money embellish the beautiful windows. Wonderful precious lotuses ornamentally trail down. Lovely sounds are emitted, delighting all who hear. Seated there, the Buddha assumes special eminence. The throne is supported by precious wheels shaped like half-moons. The dais of Vajra has a fiery, brilliant color. Bodhisattvas with top-knots constantly gather around. Among them, the Buddha is most resplendent. Various transformations fill the 10 directions, proclaiming the Daskaman's welfare and manifesting all scenes and images. The Buddha sits serenely upon such a throne. Namo Sammanto Motana Apalati Hataja Janami Nanchini Chini Danta Katana Moa Shante Polati Uttamottamo Danta Katana Moa Hupansaha Namo Sammanto Motana Apalati Hataja Janami Nanchini Chini Danta Katana Moa Shante Polati Uttamottamo Danta Katana Moa Saha Namo Sammanto Motana Apalati Hataja Janani Nanchini Chini Danta Katana Moa Shanti Polati Uttamottamo Danta Katana Moa Hopa Soha. A special dedication. We dedicate the merit to the successful completion of the Wonderful Enlightenment Buddhist Institute construction project. Sorry. Praise. Praise to the Dharma. In the flower-adorned oceanic assembly, the jewel treasury of spiritual literature, as Sutra rose the size of a great microcosm in a single atomic particle, which is broken open by this very person. Then flowers rain down in profusion, and the Dhamma rim is everywhere permeated with fragrance. Dedication of lyric. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace, with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. 3 bows. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Namo Tát Phật Quang Phổ Hoa Hiện Chính, Hoa Hiện Hải Huệ Phổ菩薩.
Okay.
Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds or millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Adornments, Sutra, the wondrous adornments of the rulers of the world, Chapter 1, Part 5. At that time, At that time, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, universally resounding thunderclap, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses. While accumulating practices of Bodhi, the world-honored one made offerings to countless Buddhas in the 10 directions. Aided by the awesome power of the well-gone one, all can see the thus-come one on his throne. Fragrant, brilliant Moni, the magnificent, wish-fulfilling gem, is inlaid on the lion throne of wondrous flowers. Various decorations are reflected in its surface. The whole assembly clearly beholds all of this. The Buddha on his throne assumes an adorned appearance. The forms he manifests vary from thought to thought. According to their different conceptions, sentient beings each perceive the Buddha seated upon his throne. Jeweled branches hang down, forming a net of lotuses. When the flowers bloom, bodhisattvas emerge. Each speaks with a splendid, charming voice, extolling the thus-come one seated upon the throne. Vast in space, the Buddha's meritorious virtue gives rise to all his adornments. His work of adornment at each and every ground surpasses the comprehension of any sentient being.
Paid with indestructible vajra, the ground is vast, pure and completely level. Many studded nets drift and flutter in the air, while beneath the Bodhi tree the Buddha pervades everywhere.
Boundless and sublime in appearance, the ground is covered with dust of pure gold, and spread with fine flowers and multitudes of gems, all brightening the thus-come one's throne. The earth spirits leap up in joy and happiness, as the Buddha makes infinite revelations in an instant, and everywhere creates beautiful clouds. The spirits constantly fix their gaze upon the Buddha. Gigantic jewel lamps of fiery splendor pour forth redolent blazing light without cease, manifesting states that vary over time. The spirits present these as offerings. All the lands throughout the 10 directions and all adornments in those lands, without exception, now appear in this Bodhimanda by virtue of the Buddha's awesome spiritual power. At that time, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, radiant knot of all jewels, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses. While practicing long ago, the well-honored one observed the perfection of all Buddha's lands. In this way, he saw infinitely many grounds, always now clearly revealed in this Bodhimanda. With immense spiritual powers, the well-honored one releases lights that everywhere rains down Moni jewels. Strewn throughout the Bodhimanda, these jewels ornament the grounds and surroundings. By the thus-come one's blessings, virtue and spiritual powers, wondrous jewels of Moni decorate everywhere. The ground as well as the Bodhi tree mutually expand with light and sound. Countless jeweled lamps fall through the air like rain, intermingling with magnificent jewels to become adornments. They all emit wondrous sounds proclaiming the Dharma. This is what the earth spirits manifest.
Clouds of lovely radiance appear all across the precious ground.
Precious torches blaze as brilliantly as lightning. Precious nets extend afar, providing shade from above. Precious branches are scattered throughout as ornamentation. Everyone thoroughly contemplates this earth, embellished with all kinds of marvelous gems. It reveals the sea of sentient beings' karma, leading them to understand the true Dharma nature. All Buddhas throughout the 10 directions, as well as all perfect Bodhi trees, appear without exception in the Bodhi Manda to expound the thus come one's pure Dharma. According to sentient beings' inclinations, one just sounds issue forth from all over the earth. Just as when the Buddha proclaims from the throne, each and every Dharma door is expounded in full. A subtle scented radiance rises constantly from the earth. Pure and clear voices pervasively resonate within the light. All sentient beings who are ready for the Dharma can hear it and let their afflictions melt away. Each and every ornament is totally perfect. Even in a billion eons, they could not be described. The thus come spiritual power reaches all places, hence the earth is all beautiful and pure. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, son of great knowledge and courageous wisdom, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual powers, universally contemplated oceanic multitudes in the Bodhi Manda, and spoke the following verses. The well-honored one sits absorbed in the Dharma hall, a clear and dazzling presence within the palace, according to the delights of sentient beings. He manifests throughout the lands of the 10 directions. The thus come one's palace is inconceivable. Adorned with ageless harmony gems, the ornaments shine and dazzle one and all. Seated among them, the Buddha is especially eminent.
There are columns of money in various hues,
and bells of pale gold suspended like clouds. There are jeweled staircases lining the four sides, and doors that open in every direction. Among silken banners adorned with beautiful blossoms, ornamental jeweled branches, and money beads draped on all four sides. The ocean of wisdom sits serenely. Nets of money and banners of wondrous fragrance, bright as blazing lamps and arrayed in cloud-like formation, hang above the assorted ornaments. The transcendent wine of right knowledge sits in their midst. Magical clouds appear throughout the 10 directions. These clouds proclaim Dharma for all in the world, taming and subduing all sentient beings. All this is manifested from the Buddha's palace. Wondrous flowers bloom on the tree of money. Nothing in the 10 directions can compare. The adornment of the lands of the 3 periods of time is entirely revealed in these days. Clusters of money are everywhere to be found, blazing with infinite kinds of brilliance. Well-spaced doors and windows open in every direction. The entire building is elegant and of the utmost beauty. The thus come one's palace is inconceivable, pure, luminous, and filled with every kind of image. All other palaces appear within it, each with a thus come one seated inside. The thus come one's palace is boundless, the enlightened one naturally dwells within it. The multitudes throughout the 10 directions all gather at the Buddhas without fail. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, inconceivable meritorious, virtuous, and precious seal of wisdom, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual powers, universally contemplated oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses.
The Buddha cultivated an ocean of blessings, as numerous as they also does in all lands. His spiritual powers and vows make this possible. The Bodhimanda is adorned pure and unsullied.
The woods are made of magnificent wish-fulfilling jewels. The body of the tree is made of vajra and money. Jewel nets cover it from high above. A mist of sublime fragrance circulates around it. Myriads of jewels adorn the branches of the tree. Its trunk of money vigorously stretches upward. The dense covering of branches resemble layered clouds. The Buddha sits in the Bodhimanda below. The Bodhimanda is vast beyond conception. Covered entirely by the shade of the tree, its flourishing leaves and flowers protect and reflect one another. A money fruit grows in each blossom. Shimmering rays shine between the branches, lighting up the entire Bodhimanda. Such pure infinite resplendence by the power of the Buddha's vows, the flowers are made of money germs in abundance. The shadows and radiance resemble exquisite clouds, enshrouding the tree with all pervasive fragrance and decorating every part of the Bodhimanda. Look inside the Bodhimanda, the well-born one. The precious lesser lotuses are pure and clean. Emerging from them are flaming balls of light, bells tingling and calling are heard in the clouds. All beautiful trees of wondrous colors that grow in the lands of the 10 directions appear within the Bodhi tree. Beneath that tree, the Buddha transcends all defilement. The vast expanse of Bodhimanda results from blessings. Jewels rain down endlessly from the branches. From each jewel emerge bodhisattvas, who serve and make offerings to Buddhas in the 10 directions. The realm of the Buddhas is inconceivable. They universally cause their trees to make music. Hearing the sound, the multitudes are able to see the Buddha's past practices on the Bodhi path. At that time, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, 100 eyes, and lotus flower top knot. We see the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplate the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses.
The many gems all emit marvelous sounds, praising the names of Buddhas at the 3 periods of time. The numberless miraculous deeds of those Buddhas are entirely visible within this Bodhimanda.
Every light jewel necklaces, the flowers complete in beauty. Flowers are like drift and spread through the 10 directions. The spirits of the Bodhi tree present these to the Buddhas, using their single-minded gaze as an offering. Blazing light from money forms a banner. The glowing banner produces an exquisite fragrance. The fragrance permeates the entire assembly, making the place entirely adorned and pure. Lotus blossoms sprinkle golden rays of light. Within the light, the Buddha's wondrous sounds, like clouds, spread and cover all lands in 10 directions, quelling sentient beings, burning afflictions forever. The magnificent Bodhi tree with sovereign power constantly releases rays of the purest light. The boundless assemblies in the 10 directions are all reflected without fail in the Bodhimanda. The effulgence from jeweled branches resembles bright lanterns. That brilliance pronounces great vows. The Buddha's past cultivation in all levels of existence is fully told. The spirits beneath tree, as numerous as the lotus have all drawn near to the Bodhimanda. At the tree where each Tathagata realizes the way, they proclaim passages to liberation in thought after thought. Every practice cultivated by the well-honored one is making all offerings to all thus come once, and all his past cultivation and renown appear entirely in the Mani pearl. Everything in the Bodhimanda makes marvelous sounds, far-reaching sounds that pervade the 10 directions. Sentient beings who are receptive to the Dharma all become purified and subdued. Long ago, the Thaskamman everywhere cultivated innumerable deeds that develop these adornments. All the Bodhi trees in the 10 directions have a measureless variety of adornments.
At that time, Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, 4 radiance of golden flames, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses.
As the Buddha cultivated practices for Bodhi, he clearly understood all states of being. Whether they were right or wrong, he remained pure and doubtless. This is the first of the Thaskamman's powers of wisdom, just as in the past impartially viewed the nature of dharmas, and clearly fathomed the sea of all karma. All of this, now in the natural radiance, is universally enacted in the 10 directions. In former eons, he cultivated great experience, transforming and guiding sentient beings according to their roots, and purifying the minds of all in the assembly. As the Buddha perfected the wisdom power of faculties, sentient beings' understandings are not the same, their inclinations and ways of behaving are each distinct. Accordingly, he speaks the Dharma that they should fear the Buddha. By his wisdom power can be this way. Oceans are lands to the ends of the 10 direction and all realms of sentient being as well. Manifest every within the Buddha's pause. By virtue of his impartial space-like wisdom, the Buddha knows where every path leads. The single path exhausts the three periods completely. He can entirely reveal and manifest all eons, sentient beings, times, and ends in the 10 directions, just as he dhyana, concentration, and liberation are boundlessly strong. So too are his samadhi and expedient means. The Buddha is for the delight of sentient beings and cleanses away their dismal afflictions. Unhindered, the Buddha's wisdom encompasses the three periods, which instantaneously appear in his pause. The Buddha Dharma, countries, and sentient beings, all manifest by his power of knowing upon reflection. The Buddha's eyes are as pervasive as space. They see the entire Dharma realm, missing nothing. On the ground of non-obstruction, he achieved peerless functioning. Only Buddhas can describe the depth of his eyes. Every sentient being is tied up in knots and bound by all the derivative afflictions and habits. The Tathagata appears everywhere in the world and expediently releases those bonds.
At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, sound pervading the Dharma realm, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power and universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda and spoke the following verses.
The Buddha's awesome spiritual power pervades the 10 directions. Fast and great, he manifests without discrimination. Great Bodhi practices and parameters, all beings see how he perfected these in the past. Giving rise to great compassion for sentient beings, he cultivated the paramita of giving. Thus his body is most sublime and wondrous, causing delight in the beholder. During oceanic boundless great eons in the past, he cultivated the paramita of pure precepts. Thus he gained a pure body pervading the 10 directions, and he extinguishes intense sufferings in all worlds. In the past he cultivated the purity of patience. His faith and understanding were true and undiscriminating. Therefore he has perfect features and characteristics, and his radiance lights up the 10 directions. Long ago, for many oceans of eons, he cultivated vigor and managed to reverse the weighty obstacles of sentient beings. Therefore his division body pervaded the 10 directions and appeared beneath the majestic Bodhi tree. The Buddha long cultivated for measureless eons, purifying the entire great ocean of dhyana samadhi. Upon seeing him, beings rejoiced profoundly and completely cast out their turbid obstructive afflictions. The thus cultivated a sea of all practices, fully perfecting prajna paramita. Thus he releases universal illumination, dispelling all ignorance and gloom. With various expedients, he transforms sentient beings, leading them to succeed in their every practice. He travels pervasively through the 10 directions, never resting during boundless eons. The Buddha cultivated for seas of great eons, purely perfecting the paramita of all vows. Hence he appears throughout all worlds and rescues the sentient beings to the end of time. For countless eons, the Buddha cultivated and cured the paramita of the power of all dharmas, thereby accomplishing spontaneous strength and appearing in all lands of the 10 directions.
The Buddha cultivated the wisdom of the universal door.
The nature of all wisdom resembles the void. Thus he achieved unobstructed power and shines his light upon lands in the 10 directions. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, cloud sound and pure moon, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimanda, and spoke the following verses. The realm of his spiritual penetrations equals the void. No sentient being in the 10 directions fails to see them. The grounds he achieved in past cultivation are fully explained within the foot of morning. Through countless eons of pure and diligent practices, he enters the first ground of utmost happiness. He brings forth wisdom vast as the Dharma realm, and beholds countless Buddhas in the 10 directions. On the ground, all leaping fell amidst all Dharmas. He upholds pure precepts and numerous ascension beings, having practiced extensively for many eons in mixed offerings to a boundless sea of Buddhas. Amassing blessings and virtue, he reaches the ground of limiting light. Rational patience achieve the Shamatha treasury. All hear the vast cloud of Dharma, thus it is proclaimed within the fruits of Mani. On the peerless ground of a blazing sea of bright wisdom, he understands all situations and responds with compassion. He manifests bodies equally in all countries, fully disclosing the Buddha's cultivation, impartial universal treasury, ground of difficult conquest, movement and stillness harmonized, free from conflicts. The states of the Buddha Dharma are equal. He explains the practices of the Buddhas. With extensive practices, he attains the ground of oceanic wisdom. He pervasively understands all Dharma methods like the void. He manifests everywhere in all lands and proclaims the Dharma beneath the tree. His body pervades the Dharma realm and space. His wisdom like lamp illumines all sentient beings.
His every expedient device conduces to purity. His far-reaching practices are not told for all.
Adorned by all his vows and practices, he purifies measureless seas of lands. No discursive thought can sway him. This peerless ground is proclaiming form. Measureless estates arise from spiritual power. Skillful entry into Dharma teachings brings power of light. This is the pure ground of wholesome wisdom. Practices through seas of eons are completely revealed. The vast Dharma cloud of the 10th ground encompasses everything in space. The states of all Buddhas are expressed in sound. Such sound comes from the Buddha's awesome spiritual power. At that time, Bodhisattva Mahasava, bright banner of wholesome courage, received the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the oceanic multitudes in the Bodhimantra, and spoke the following verses. Countless sentient beings in the assembly with pure faith and understanding were receiving kind, enlightened to the wisdom of the Tathagata and fathom all states of adornment. Each made pure vows and cultivated all practices, all made offerings to countless Buddhas. They now perceive the Tathagata's true body and all his spiritual transformations as well. Some can perceive the Buddha's Dharma body, peerless, unimpeded, and all-pervasive. The boundless natures of all Dharmas are completely contained within his body. Some can see the Buddha's wondrous physical body with its boundless hallmarks and dazzling light. According to sentient beings' different understandings, its various manifestations appear in the 10 directions. Some see the unobstructed wisdom body equal in the 3 times like a void. Turning the will to teach and delight beings, this body can be seen in various ways. Some beings perceive the Buddha's sound as it pervades all regions in the 10 directions. Based upon sentient beings' capacities to understand, he utters words and sounds without any hindrance. Some see the myriad lights of the Duskam One. His various illuminations pervade all worlds. There are some who, within the Buddha's radiance, further see all Buddhas, displaying spiritual powers.
Some see the Buddha's light like an ocean or a cloud, streaming from his pores in dazzling colors. He reveals his past cultivation of the path, leading beings to enter the Buddha's wisdom with deep faith.
Some see the Buddha adorned with the blessed hallmarks, discerning too how the blessings came about. His past cultivation of an ocean of power meters is clearly visible in the Buddha's appearance. Immeasurable the Duskam was mirror fills the Dharma realm and has no boundaries. All the states of spiritual penetrations by the Buddha's power are proclaimed. At that time, by the Buddha's spiritual power, the ground in the flower treasure adorned sea of worlds underwent all the 6 kinds of quaking in their 18 forms, namely moving, pervasive moving, universally pervasive moving, rising, pervasive rising, universally pervasive rising, surging, pervasive surging, universally pervasive surging, shaking, pervasive shaking, universally pervasive shaking, roaring, pervasive roaring, universally pervasive roaring, banging, pervasive banging, universally pervasive banging. Each and every one of the world leaders manifest inconceivable clouds of offerings and rain them upon the oceanic multitudes in the thus come one's Bodhimanda. There were clouds of all kinds of adorning fragrance and flowers, clouds of all wonderful ornaments of money, clouds of exquisite natural dazzling lights from jewels, clouds of perfect radiance from a boundless array of money jewels, clouds of jewels of a myriad colors and a treasury of pearls, clouds of assorted precious chandana incenses, clouds of canopies made of various jewels, clouds of magnificent money gems resonating with pure and wondrous sound, clouds of wheel-like necklaces of sunlight money beams, clouds of resplendent radiance from assorted jewels, and clouds of myriad ornaments, each distinct. There were measureless, inconceivable numbers of clouds of offerings such as these. Each and every one of the world leaders manifested such clouds of offerings and rained them upon the oceanic multitudes in the thus come one's Bodhimanda, covering them all. Just as each and every world leader in this world was delighted and made offerings in this way, so too in all worlds in the flower treasury adorned sea all worlds, all the world leaders made offerings in the same way. In each of those worlds, a thus come one was sitting in a Bodhimanda. Each and every world leader had his individual faith and understanding, individual condition, individual expedient passage into samadhi, individual practices or dharmas that aid the way, individual accomplishment, individual happiness, individual inclinations, individual enlightenment and understanding of the dharmas, individual entry into the stage of the thus come one's spiritual penetration, individual entry into the stage of the thus come one's powers, and individual entry into the thus come one's passages into liberations. Just as it was in this flower treasure adorned sea of worlds, so it was in all seas of worlds in the 10 directions to the ends of the Dharma realm and space. End of chapter 1, part 5. Namo Samanta Modana Bala Dihata Jalani Anjini Jini Tanda Gadana Mowa Sante Baladi Namo Dhammo Tanda Gadana Mowa Hupansa Namo Samanta Modana Bala Dihata Jalani Anjini Jini Tanda Gadana Mowa Tinh Bò La Đi Ú Đan Mô Tàn Ta Gò Ta Nam Mô Wa Hông Thành Sa Ho Nam Mô Sa Man To Mô Đô La La Bò La Đi Hờ Ta Chê Chê La Ni An Chi Ni Tàn Ta Gò Ta Nam Mô Wa San Tinh Bò La Đi Ú Đan Mô Tàn Ta Gò Ta Nam Mô Wa Hông Thành Sa Ho. Praise to the Dharma. In the flower adornment oceanic assembly, its jewel treasury of spiritual literature has sutra rules the size of a great trichiliocosm in a single atomic particle, which is broken open by this very person. Then flowers rain down in profusion, and the Dharma realm is everywhere permeated with fragrance. Special dedication. We dedicate the marriage to the successful completion of the Wonderful Enlightenment Buddhist Institute construction project. Now we are going to prepare to to sing the syllables.
So today we will do that set 2, syllable set 2, which is cha na la.
Two. Which one?
Set number 2. humans and God. in the Chap, I sail above. General dedication of Mary. Mary, living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of the endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
3 bows. Bowed in respect to the Venerable Master. Hua